Hey guys, Tim here with the Long Haired Gardener, and welcome to my Philadelphia backyard here in Growing Zone 7B. So today is going to be the final garden tour of my garden, sadly, because it is almost October and we are scheduled, or I guess the forecast says that we are going to get a lot of rain the next couple days, and it's also getting pretty cool at night. So it is now that time where I need to start bringing in some of my tropical plants or house plants. So I thought I would do one final garden tour here with everything almost completely intact. I did take a couple plants out of one planter already, but everything else is still intact and still looking really good. So let's take one final look at my garden for the year. So let's just get started over here with the banana tree. If you've been following my channel, you've seen this many times, but it is possibly, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it is my favorite plant this year. I did grow it last year, but this year it is just humongous. And I'm trying to get in here closer. Look at the red color on this leaf. It is so nice. This plant is probably about 10 to 12 feet tall now. But like I said, it's going to be cooling down within the next couple weeks, so I will have to cut this down and get ready to overwinter it again. So look for that video in the future. But this area just in general is probably one of my favorites. It looks the most jungly over here because of these two upright elephant ears. I think they look really good. In the years in the past, I think I've had these for maybe 3 years now. They did okay, but not as good as they did this year. And this year I put them in full sun, and I think that really helped them out. Let me move that Cleome so that you can see just how big these leaves are. So I love that jungle look. Any plant that has huge leaves are always a favorite of mine. So that's why these up against this huge banana tree are looking so good this year. I'm also really happy with these lantanas. I did have a moment where they stopped blooming, and if you can tell, this one actually needs watered. It is a little bit of wilted right now, but I was trying to hold off for the rain that's coming. But I think they're looking great. And there's a sweet potato vine here in the middle, which looks pretty good. Speaking of sweet potato vines, I do want to move over here really quickly before they get in too much sun. May have already happened, but talking about sweet potato vines, look at this huge mass right here. I'm gonna try to get a little bit in the shade. So this purple that is right in through here is one plant, which is pretty crazy. There is another sweet potato vine in that variety right over here, but you can see it's a little bit smaller. And then I have the red one right here. But they are doing great. I love sweet potato vines. I may have said this before. I don't really like them in planters because they overwhelm the planter. I had to pause for a minute for the airplane. So they overwhelm the planter, but they look fantastic in the ground, kind of as a ground cover. So the sidewalk line is right here. So all of this is over into the sidewalk, which I love. Somebody who has a small garden space, having those plants spill out over, so the line over here is also kind of right here, and then all of these plants are spilling out over. I love plants that do that because that kind of makes my garden a little bit bigger. While we're over here, it's the same idea with spilling over with all of these different tradescantias. They are looking great, especially the purple heart. I have been coming back in here and trimming it back, but because we are so close to the end of the season, I've just kind of been letting it go a little bit. Same thing with these two varieties over here. And I also have over here to the side, I've started some pots to overwinter inside of those same tradescantias. So when I'm talking about favorite parts or sections of the garden, I've already talked about the banana tree area. I'm going to say that this is probably my second most favorite. It started off pretty weak, but it is finishing very strong. I think it mostly has to do with these caladiums up against like the purple of the Persian shield back here. I just think overall it's just a really nice combination, and I'm very happy with the way it has turned out. So after I'm done making this video, I'm going to start tearing apart some of these planters to bring in. So this papyrus plant back here is going to be one of the plants that I take out and get ready to move inside. I've already taken some of the plants out of this planter right here. So there were some bromeliads and a bird of paradise, which if we just walk right over here, I've already put them in some pots, and they are all ready to come inside with me today. While we're here, let's just take a look at how beautiful these coleus are doing. And I'm going to try to step back here in this section. It's a little difficult. Alright, so you can see how empty this planter looks now with those couple plants removed. So right now I'm just focusing on bringing in some of the house plants, and then maybe in a few weeks I'm going to work on bringing in some of the other plants to overwinter. So I will be bringing in all of the elephant ears, which there are many floating around this garden. I will do a final scan here of the caladiums and impatiens. Once the temperatures start to drop, the caladiums became very unhappy very quickly. So this is probably the last look of those. I have a croton back here, which is going to be coming in with me possibly today, and then right over here I do have two more house plants, and then a dracaena down here. I have to keep pausing for all of the helicopters and airplanes today. I don't know what's going on, but it's a very busy day for the helicopters. So let's take one final look over here. Oh, where can I stand though? I won't be giving shadows. So we've got the cannas up here, and the plants circling the cannas look so good. It's a shame that we are now at the end of the season. Things are finally looking really good here. I had some struggles with the purple salvia kind of overtaking the planter. It's pretty much all you saw, and now finally the penta and the lantana have decided to show up here at the end of the season. I've mentioned many times before how much I really love this Plectranthus, and I may try to overwinter a little piece of that, just in case I am not able to find it next year. It's definitely something I want to have in the garden next year. While we're down here, I'm gonna take a look at this pineapple plant. So this is a plant that I grew from a pineapple from the grocery store, and I think I've had it maybe 3 years now, but it hasn't produced a pineapple, which is fine. I mostly just grew it for the challenge to see if I could you know, grow a pineapple plant from the grocery store, and I have succeeded, but it is definitely getting, it's too big at this point. So I think I am going to keep it outside, and it is going to probably die over the winter, which is okay. That just means I need to start a new pineapple, which I will. So make sure to keep an eye for a new video on how I start pineapple plants from grocery store pineapples. I keep moving around here because the sun is a little bright and my shadow keeps popping in. Anyway, we've got some basil down here, some eucalyptus. I did really enjoy this plant, but it didn't grow as fast as I thought it would. But I do love just kind of walking by here and running my hands through it and enjoying the scent that it gives off. So this planter, the window planter, is looking pretty wild right now. The hyacinth bean vine still looks pretty good. This licorice plant here, the silvery one, has just gone crazy and pretty much choked out the Peachy King verbena. There is one right here. I'm trying to figure out what is on my finger, but we're gonna get rid of that just in case it's something that's gonna bite me. But in the past I have had little baby praying mantis, so for a second I thought maybe that's what we had on my finger. Petunias are still hanging in, looking great. I did have a gazania in here, which it just was not happy. It was getting too much water, so unfortunately it rotted, and I did pull it out yesterday. But all of this is probably going to go within a couple weeks if the weather gets cool and rainy. Things are going to start to rot, which means I'm going to have to start planting my bulbs. Alright, circling around, I think I did kind of skip over a couple things. I do have a mangabi down here, which I think I am going to bring inside and try it over winter. I've talked about the chicks and hens several times. Started off so strong and now not looking so great. There was a lot of rotting going on, so I think in the springtime I am going to rework this with a lot better drainage. So right next to the chicks and hens, this pot is interesting. Right now I love it. I think it looks great. My hopes were that this asparagus fern, the foxtail asparagus fern, would be so much bigger, and it's just kind of remained small. But I do like how well this wire vine has grown in here with it, and then also the Plectranthus to add a little bit of, you know, brightness with the chartreuse leaves. Overall, I think it's great. I just wish the foxtail fern would have grown a little bit bigger. And I also have kind of skipped over this huge pot that's back here. You can't even see it. I think in a day or two I'm going to just completely tear that apart because it's a hot mess at this time. Alright, stepping back into the shaded portion of the garden, I do want to do one final look at this begonia. Even look down in here. This has grown so much and has done so well. I am very happy that I got this plant. Unfortunately, it is too big to bring inside, so I'm gonna have to let it die out here over the winter. But I think maybe this is another plant that I might want to try next year, just in a different, maybe in a different pot. I did also kind of glaze over these pots. I've talked about them in the past, and they are definitely on the tail end of the growing season, so there's not really too much to see over here. And I will definitely be taking out those elephant ears in a couple days. I can tell that it is going to storm. It is very breezy out here, so sorry for all of the wind chime racket in the background. The cannas, I'm still trying to decide if I want to dig these out or not. Usually that's the type of plant that you want to bring in so that it doesn't die over the winter time. But I have had success with just leaving them in the ground. My garden is surrounded here by a wall, covered by a tree, and also surrounded by a lot of cement here. I think the winter temperatures don't get cold enough that some of these plants rot or freeze over the winter. Same thing with the dahlia here. I've left that outside for 2 years now, and it has survived. Speaking of the dahlia, there is a bloom right here. When this plant blooms, it is so beautiful, but I've mentioned before, I do have tons of problems with it flopping over. I need to do better next year with the support. Also have this cypress vine here that I grew from seed to kind of fill in. There is a clematis that grows on that support, and it doesn't bloom this time of year, so it is kind of nice to have a secondary plant in there. It did really take over though. It is kind of just like massing everywhere, but it does have these nice little white flowers, and I do love the feathery texture of the leaves. Alright guys, I think that is everything for today. Thank you for joining me on my last garden tour of the season. I hope you have enjoyed following my garden throughout the season and seeing what it looked like from start until what it's looking like right now at the very end of September. I believe we're about a week away from October, so it is time for this garden to slowly begin to hibernate. So thank you again for watching. If you like these videos, please click like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next garden video.